everybody, happy December. So it's Friday. I'm in my car, as you can probably see, and I am just running some errands today. I have Friday off work, so I thought I would take you along on some of them. I've never done this before, filming out in public, so I'm not quite sure how it's going to go. I may get too embarrassed and stop doing it, but we'll see. So I just came from the drugstore. I got my COVID booster, and so I thought I should go run around and get my things done today in case I feel a little worn out tonight or tomorrow. So right now I am at the library. They aren't open yet, but I'm just dropping some things off, so I'll drop it off on the outside. But I thought I'd show you what I'm bringing back, even though I actually only watched one of the things. One of them that I did watch was, you can see it with the glare, there we go, Far From the Madding Crowd, the more recent version, with Carey Mulligan. And I read it in Victober after reading the book, or I watched it in Victober after reading the book, but I don't know what I said. Anyway, I didn't really like it that much. I thought it was beautifully filmed, and I like the actor who played Gabriel Oak, but overall I was disappointed because the book is so good. I mean, I love that book. It was like probably my favorite thing that I read for the first time in Victober. So yeah, movies are a hard sell for me, especially a 2-hour movie. Maybe if it had been like a mini-series adaptation, I would have liked it more, but oh well. The other things, I got this version with Michael Fassbender, however you say it, of Fassbender. I'm so clueless about recent movies. Of Jane Eyre, and I didn't end up watching that. I saw some clips and I was like, it's fine, but I still like the version with Ruth Wilson better. So, and then I got this version of Great Expectations with Gwyneth Paltrow. I also did not watch that, even though I read the book for Victober. So basically Victober flop movie choices there. And then this book I checked out and tried to read. I read the first chapter or two, The Secret of Nightingale Wood by Lucy Strange, and I just couldn't get into it, so sorry. Anyway, so those are my returns. I'm not planning on getting anything else. I have plenty at home, so just gonna go take these back and then go on with the rest of my errands. So I need to go do a little bit of shopping. I have some Christmas gifts to buy, a Secret Santa gift for work. I need to try to find something for that. And that's kind of it. We'll see. Just gonna play it by ear. everybody. It's Friday evening and I'm back home. I've been for a while. After the shopping trip, I came back home, did some chores around the house, and then the mobile groomers came and groomed Leo and Sadie. So they get groomed every couple of months since they have very thick, long double coats that tend to get kind of tangled up, even though I try to brush them regularly myself. So the groomer comes and gives them a little beauty treatment, so they don't really enjoy it, but they look very cute, and no more tangles, which is good. So I thought I would show you what I purchased for myself at the shop. I purchased mostly things for other people, but I obviously don't really want to show them on camera in case anybody sees this and sees what I got them for a gift. So, but I would show you what, I thought I would show you what I got for myself. I can never resist buying a few Christmas items when I'm there. So I got a couple of ornaments for the tree. This little kind of Santa looking thing. Doesn't really look like an American Santa. I don't know, maybe it's like a Father Christmas. Maybe is more apt. So I got a green one and this pink one just because I thought it was an unusual color. So those will be cute. I'll be adding those to the tree soon. And then the other thing I got was this little figurine of a little skater, little girl, which obviously is something I have no experience with living here. But she just was so cute. Something was so like retro, old-fashioned about the way she looked. Her little old-timey skates. So I thought it was really cute. So that's what I got for myself. So I thought I would also go ahead while I'm here and tell you about the books I read in November. So didn't have the greatest of months as far as quantity in November, but I did read some really good things that I enjoyed. So first book I read in November was called Uncharted Seas by Emily Loring. So this was sort of an impulse purchase for me. I bought a few of these vintage books online at Half Price Books. This one actually was published in 1932. So I just happened to hear about Emily Loring. I don't even remember exactly how, just browsing through Goodreads or somewhere online. And people talked about how she was a romance author. She wrote pretty much in the 20s through the 50s, the 1920s through the 1950s. So, and that her books are romances, but also with a little bit of a mystery thriller kind of element, sort of romantic suspense. So I thought it might be worth a try. I love books from that time period and romantic suspense, things like Mary Stuart. So bought a few copies of vintage books that are just beautiful. I love the covers of these books. But anyway, this was honestly only so-so. So as much as I was excited about it, I think I gave it like 2.5 stars on Goodreads. The plot revolves around horse racing in the U.S. I can't remember which state, somewhere in the South, and it was just okay. So, but I'm willing to read more of Emily Loring's books. She seems to be somebody that a lot of people really love and read as comfort reads, and have going back obviously decades. So I'm going to give her another shot and see if maybe a book set in kind of a different setting is a little bit more interesting to me. The next book I read was Happy All the Time by Laurie Colwin. Now this one I loved. This was a 5-star book. I absolutely loved it. I really wasn't familiar with Laurie Colwin, and one of my friends on Instagram, Jennifer of Jen's Reading Life, loves Laurie Colwin. It's one of her favorite authors. And she mentioned this book a while ago, and it just sounded really good. So I'm so glad I read it, and I can't wait to read more of Laurie Colwin's books. So basically what this is about, it's about two cousins, two male cousins who live in New York City, and it takes place in the 70s. It was written in the 70s, as 1970s as well. And it's basically just kind of a romantic comedy about them and their romances with the women that they end up marrying, and then the early days of their marriages. So it's just charming, it's warm, it's funny. It has a real sense of place and time, sort of that 1970s New York vibe. But at the same time, it felt very timeless because a lot of the things about relationships felt kind of evergreen. So I really love this book. I cannot wait to read more of Lori Coleman's books. And I know I'll read this one again. It'll be one of those books that I pull out whenever I want a comforting read. Also, this month I read, or last month I guess, November, I read Clothes Pegs by Susan Scarlett. So Susan Scarlett is the pen name for Noel Streatfeild when she was writing romance novels. So Noel Streatfeild, more famous for writing children's literature. This is the second Susan Scarlett book I've read. This one was written in the 1930s, and it's just charming. It's really adorable. So I've really enjoyed the two books that I've read from this time period, and they kind of give me the same vibe as a romantic movie from that period, which, as you know, if you saw my last video, I love old movies. So just that kind of warm and feel good sort of plot with a happy ending. So this one is about a girl who becomes a fashion model and meets an aristocratic man. So she comes from a working class family, very sweet girl with a really sweet family, and she meets this aristocratic man and they have a romance. So very good. Recommend Clothes Pegs if you like that sort of book. Another book I read was a reread of an old favorite, and it's All Creatures Great and Small by James Herriot. So I actually ended up listening to the audiobook for the majority of this book, and I listened to the version read by Christopher Timothy, who played James Herriot in the 1970s to 1990s TV series. So that's the series I love and grew up watching. So for me, hearing him read it in his voice was like, that's James to me. So this is a wonderful book. It's part of a series, and it's about it's a memoir slash novelization of the life of a Yorkshire vet. His name was actually Alf White, and his pen name is James Herriot. But it takes place in the 1930s, and he's a vet in Yorkshire during the years before World War II, and this is him getting started in his new career. He joins a firm with another veterinarian named Siegfried Farnan, who is one of the most interesting and irascible, frustrating, lovable characters you'll ever meet. Siegfried's younger brother is a student studying veterinary medicine. His name's Tristan, and he is an absolute charming scamp. It also covers James's romance with the woman he eventually marries, and it's so good. And the people of Yorkshire are so well developed and well described. You can tell that the author has a great love for those people and that part of the world. And of course, if you love animals, there's plenty of that as well. So I love All Creatures Great and Small. I can't wait to continue on with the second book in the series, and I'll probably listen to that one as well on audiobook. One of my other November reads was Family Sabbatical by Carol Ryrie Brink. I won't say too much about this one since I already talked about it in the first vlog. This was the Kindred Spirits book for Kate Howe's Kindred Spirits group in November. Absolutely loved it. It's about a family in the 1950s who go on sabbatical in France, and just all that they go through as they adjust. So wonderful book, actually perfect for this time of year since a lot of it revolves around Christmas. So highly recommend this one. Finally, I read A Little Princess by Frances Hodgson Burnett. And this was a reread, but it really might as well have been a first-time read because I didn't have a lot of memories of the specifics of the book. I've seen the Shirley Temple movie so many times, and it veers very widely from this book, which I'm not sure I really realized. But so this book is about a little girl named Sarah Crewe who has grown up in India. Her mother's passed away, and she's very close with her father, who's a very wealthy and doting father. Due to the health concerns that come with children growing up in that climate, he ends up bringing her back to London and leaving her at a boarding school. And since he's very wealthy, he makes sure that she has everything. So she has her own suite, she has her own driver and horse, she has beautiful clothes. She's just absolutely pampered among all these schoolgirls. And the teacher, Miss Minchin, who, even though she is a really quite a horrible person, she kisses up to Sarah because she sees dollar signs or pound signs, I guess, whatever they were in that time, in her eyes. And when a turn of events comes and Sarah loses her money and her father, Miss Minchin turns on her and basically turns her into a servant. And this is in large part about Sarah's journey as she learns how to cope with these circumstances and, um, come through them to a happy ending. So Sarah is a great character. At the beginning, I was a little concerned that she would be just too perfect. So a lot of books from kind of the Victorian, Edwardian period, children's books tend to have sort of saintly children um, that are just not very realistic. But Sarah is a very good person and a very strong girl. But she's real. I feel like she's real enough. She has flaws. She has a temper. She has, human qualities. But she's just a very good person and a strong young lady. So it's very entertaining, heartwarming, sad at times, and just a really great book. So I'm excited to see if I can track down the movie version that's a little truer to this book, just to see what that one's like. Just for comparison, the Shirley Temple movie actually has her father as a member of the military, and he goes to fight in the Boer War, and he supposedly dies in the Boer War. Um, and I say supposedly, so it definitely varies very much from this, but I do enjoy the movie version, even though it was Hollywoodized as you would expect. So that's the books I read in November. Wasn't a huge number of books. I just couldn't get going really with just reading. I had a lot of breaks in between books, and but that's fine. It comes in waves. I read a lot of kind of longer and more challenging books for Booktober during October. So these things come in waves. So I'm hoping that December will be a busy and fun reading month with all my Christmas and holiday books that I'm looking forward to. Um, I think the first book that I'm going to start from my Christmas and December TBR is The Best Christmas Pageant Ever. So I thought I would start off with something really easy and light. It's a little thin children's book. And I've just heard so many good things about it, how it's really hilarious and a laugh out loud funny book. So I think that would be perfect for it this weekend. Two other things I wanted to show you. So that in my video, I can't remember if it was the first or second, I think it must have been the second vlog, I talked about journaling. And I said I have a habit of buying and not using journals. So I said something hilarious like, I'm going to stop buying journals and start using them more. The ones I have. So, of course, that meant I ended up buying 2 blank books in this past week. But they're so pretty, I couldn't resist them. So this is one of them. Isn't it beautiful? So these are, they're based on the covers of a series of books by Andrew Lang, Victorian era books, or actually, I guess, Edwardian. So they were compiled in 1907 by the Scottish poet and anthropologist Andrew Lang, and they were called the Andrew Lang's Fairy Books. So, and they had different colors. So this is the olive fairy book, and it's just so pretty, and it's textured. And then I also got this one, which is the violet fairy book, and I just thought it was so pretty. And of course, inside is just blank pages. But no doubt I will use them for some wonderful purpose, but I just couldn't resist that sort of vintage look on these journals. So anyway, so that is my book update for this week and this month. Thanks. Holly wreaths and mistletoe, a great big Christmas tree, a winter's day with lots of snow. That's what Christmas means to me. Just sitting by the fireside, as warm as we can be, with all our loved ones by our side. That's what Christmas means to me. Open house for friends and neighbors, bringing merry cheer. Church bells ringing, voices singing,
carols sweet and